Hey, Wired to Fish friends. This morning we're going to talk dock fishing. It's the middle of the summer. On a lot of lakes across the country, what you'll find is the fish will move actually back shallow, even in the hottest part of the summer. The water temps are going to get up probably in the 90s this weekend. We have 100-degree day temps. But the shad have spawned about a month ago, and now what we have is a lot of little fry about this big all over the place in the shallows. And there's a small window, if you'll pay attention on your fisheries, where those fish get real active again in the shallows because of all that bait that's around the shallow cover. Here on this lake, it's down about 1.5 feet from normal pool. So the one cover that's still in the water real good for these shad to get around is docks. And so you can see behind us, we've got a big row of docks. We're gonna go down and fish and film some here. Hopefully we'll catch a few. We're gonna throw some things like chatterbaits. We're gonna throw swim jigs. We're gonna throw some flipping baits, flipping and pitching, soft plastics, jigs. We might even throw a frog or a topwater around. We'll just kind of see the activity level of the fish and how that goes. So stay tuned here and we'll give you some tips on dock fishing. So when I'm flipping docks, I like to put it in there pretty quiet. You know, the clearer the water, the shallower the water, the quieter your pitch needs to be. I like to go just a hair past the target. So, because the bait's gonna pendulum a little bit, even if you free line it, it's still gonna pendulum just a little. So I try to go just a little bit past it, you know, and I look for things on docks just like I do when I'm reading cover. You know, here we got cross braces that come down and meet these posts. So you got a couple different things going on. I also try to pitch my bait where I can hit 2 things at once or 3 things at once. You know, if I've got 2 poles, I'll get my boat kind of lined up where I can get in there and get around both poles in one cast. You know, you can hear it hitting that brace down there. A lot of times there's brush that's washed up against these things. You know, you got posts going all different directions. Obviously shade's a big key. These docks are pretty high off the water. So the shade's actually way back there away from the dock. Sometimes that can be a key, is just casting on them shade lines. Especially if you have a lot of cover. That's the nice thing about these docks. Especially if you live on a good fishery. You know, a lot of these docks are owned by fishermen, so they've put brush out and other things so they can sit on their dock and catch fish. And that's what a lot of these bass are relating to now, is not just the dock, but the cover and the fry that are around the cover. And if I don't get a bite on, you know, I try to work them pretty thoroughly, and if I don't get a bite, you know, I'll pick up and move to the next one. I've got my poles staked down right now because there's so many posts on this one dock. And I can cast in every different direction and hit poles. You know, most of these poles have big concrete structures at the bottom of them also. A lot of times the bass just get down there and lay next to that hard piece of cover. You'll get occasional overruns when you're flipping. I'll just make a little extra long cast, get that overrun out of there and go back. You know, sometimes when you have that loop in the line, it makes your flips a little less accurate. And as you can see on some of these posts, there's lots of rust on there, so you need to check your line constantly. Just pitching past a post like that and rubbing your line on it, you're gonna get little scrapes and micro abrasions on your fluorocarbon. You need to be checking that often, because sure as you don't, you'll get across a piece of metal and fish will bite you and it'll be a big one and you haven't retied in a while, and you're gonna pay the price on that too. But you know, you don't get any bites here. I'm just gonna raise my talons up, swing on over to the next one, and you know, we'll skip way up under there. I like those docks that have those small openings and a lot of shade under them, because a lot of times people won't get all the way up under there like they need to.
Vicious fishing.
It's just what it said.
Fishing
Vicious.
It doesn't matter if you're fishing for $100,000.
Or bragging rights on your home lake. To win, you have to go out there and make it happen.
That's why we only throw Vicious fishing line.
Small and finicky or big and nasty,
Whether it's clear water or thick cover,
Vicious Fishing has what you need. Get vicious!
Check out the new tournament-grade Vicious Fishing Elite Fluorocarbon at vicious-fishing.com.